Hello, everybody. It's great to be here one more time today. My name is Gary Fowler. I'm the CEO, president, and founder of GSD Get You Done Venture Studios, premier AI and quantum venture studio and family office located in the heart of Silicon Valley. I'm a 17-time serial entrepreneur with several unicorns under the belt. I was on the original management team of Click Software, which is sold to Salesforce for 1.35 billion, and also Eva.ai. We believe at GSD that intellectual capacity is evenly spread around the world, but opportunities are not. So today, I have an incredible guest. David's on the show. David is from Simplenight. And we're going to be talking about how we go down through and use these incredibly advanced AI driven concierge technologies like Simplenight to be able to help us. So, with that, I'd like to bring David on board. Um, Hi, David.
Hi, Gary.
For decades, the world's finest hotels relied on highly trained professionals, analog experts who knew their cities intimately, remembered guest preferences, handled impossible requests, and delivered magic through human intuition and empathy. But today we're standing at this inflection point, David. Artificial intelligence now provides 24/7 multilingual support, predictive personalization, hyper personalization, real time availability, and instant orchestration across all global services. Yet questions remain. So the question is, can AI truly replicate empathy and compassion? You've been working in the concierge environment. That's question one. Can it really handle the complex, non-standard guest requests? They say, hey, listen, we've got three things we want to do today. One is we want to get a Bentley to pick us up. The next thing is we want to go to this special venue and have a private dinner. Can it do? Where do you think the AI comes in? You're used to providing those hyper personalized human interactive experiences, but where does a company like Simple Night come into this, and how is that going to impact the way that we appreciate travel and in concierge services?
Yes, it's a good question. So, bridging analog and digital concierge, I think, at a really key question these days, especially in travel sector. So, I found that we've all been there on these typical customer services chatbots where it takes you in that loop, so to speak, and it does seem like you are talking to a brick wall or really unhelpful script, so to speak. Um, Today we are tapping into something a lot more cohesive, seamless, with multi-agent AI solutions. So in Simple Night, we are addressing these issues through cohesive sort of tapping into the full experience, empathetic AI agentic solutions. So what does that mean? So it could be broken into a few parts, I suppose. So imagine of it as a highly specialized digital ops team working behind the scenes. So the first agent essentially would be detecting your voice tone, whether are you on a celebrating mode or are you in the crisis or emergency type of a mode, and then it passes on to the very highly specialized another agent, which is probably a logistics agent, which is based purely on math, precision, and that type of thing. And then probably a compliance security agent, which handles that compliance regulation issues, essentially when you're handing over your passport number, booking flight, and at the end you have this orchestrator like a head concierge, which makes things happen at the end, and outputs that finely tuned experience. So think of it like of analog concierge. You have one the same request. A guest comes to a concierge and asks for a flight to New York, let's say, two different guests. One concierge detects that it's on a celebratory mode. He's traveling to New York, let's say, I don't know, on a proposal journey. So the concierge detects that. So there's a little bit of a small talk probably along the way, and sends the glass of champagne on the flight, etc. And then suddenly there is another guest with exactly the same request, flight to New York, but it's a medical emergency. So it's the same request, but it requires totally different approach, and that's where the agentic AI, I think, comes into really profound play here. How to handle these kind of requests, and I think that this is amazing. We're really at this stage where we can produce that type of solutions and this kind of seamless, really personalized service to end users, so to speak, and it's in a digital way. So AI is always there for you. It's 24/7. It's empathetic and that. So really exciting times, Gary.
The so my AI just said to me, what did being a traditional or analog concierge truly mean, and how do those skills help you today? So you were what is an analog concierge in your
Well,
opinion?
analog concierge, yes, analog concierge is really. I think let's go back in history. So this London iconic concierge goes back to mid 50s when it as actually goes way beyond. It goes into early 30s, and where 11 concierges of top Paris hotels gathered, sort of to bring their knowledge together, to bring their contacts together to streamline this amazing service for their guests. Mid, early 50s, mid 50s, it went global. The whole Golden Keys Le Clef d'Or organization. So, but what analog concierge does to this day, I would say, is and back then, you are. It's not just a service; it's an art form. You know why the guest needs that particular table at that particular time. You detect that empathetic part where the guest is on a stressful situation, so where you do need to provide the service precise, quick, with no fuss. And then suddenly you have this other part where it's a celebration part, right? So analog concierge is, I think, it's a crucial part of the service, and you know, it's an art form, I would say. It's just not a booking a table. It's handling those complex tasks, getting that impossible ticket to in my case, let's say, used to be Wimbledon finals. So and orchestrating the whole thing so seamlessly that people come back with experiences of their lifetime.
When you did that, so you have a lot of things working, right? You have memory, you have intuition, discretion, network access. So how do we get down through and use those same things in these tools today? Because you're calling up for the Wimbledon finals. You had to call in a friend. You had to call a friend who is a friend who got you the ticket and probably pay something to be able to get the or upcharged on it. But how do you do that using these tools to be able to help you doing the same thing today? And how do we do that on a global basis? So it's one thing being in London. It's another thing if you're going down to a polo event down in Lagos, Nigeria.
Yeah, so at Simplenight, we have what we call a global inventory, 10 million of bookable products. It's a live inventory where we tap into through other GDSs. So we became aggregator of the aggregators. So that gives the access to a massive inventory, and we keep adding. So essentially, we could also plug in concierges as ambassadors to Simplenight. They would bring that content and that last minute impossible ticket on board. So we're entertaining that idea that the analog concierge works in conjunction with a digital concierge. So just picture this, that every Golden Keys member is very much interested to provide the content because they have their own platform now to communicate and book things globally. So there is this bridge that we're tapping into, let's say.
So AI concierge systems today offer 24/7 multilingual support, instant bookings, predictive suggestions, and data-driven personalization. But where do you believe the AI today like Simplenight outperforms humans?
Well, humans, we are error creatures, I would say. We do tend to AI, let's say it's 24/7, 365 days a year. Whereas, the analog concierge, yes, it's there 24/7 for just with some companies, but there is this room for error. AI streamlines that more precisely and more cohesively, I would say. So you can always rely on that. So there is this discrepancies there.
How does Simplenight architect AI systems differently from simple chatbot or rules-based concierge? What's the differentiation between Simplenight and some of the competitors out there, David, in your opinion?
Again, it goes back to that empathetic probably part. We have agentic AI, which is the output is a lot more precise and it's much more thoughtful, and it detects the exact need of the guest, and detects that psychology part as well. So which is very profound, I think. Rather than speaking to a chatbot, which is again going back to my first initial point that it does sometimes comes across like you're speaking to in a loops and to this very unhelpful script.
From your work with global hospitality brands, what measurable impact have digital concierge systems had on revenue, guest satisfaction, or operational efficiency? So, do you think revenue, are the people more satisfied now because they have, we're handling that travel infobesity, or is it operational efficiency? So, where do you think they've had the most impact, and where do you think they're going to have the most impact?
Well, revenue-wise, for the brands or governments, truly is profound. I think I really love the fact that we are at that groundbreaking technology here with Simplenight, that we at the point where we can impact GDP. So talking about tourism bureaus, so for that matter, the different global brands. We are tapping into a totally new spend, which is, I call it fenced off spend. Think of it, we are all spending in those digital ecosystems such as car infotainment or banking apps, where you're not necessarily looking to book vacation or have your lifestyle managed. Now, suddenly we're tapping into this passive discovery of that vacation potentially. So picture this: you're driving a car in a new city, and the car AI concierge suggests you a fantastic local restaurant, and it books, voice command books. We've just discovered a new spend, which not necessarily would have happened at that point in time, right? So the impacts are so profound in terms of revenue, where we are tapping into the global GDP impact. So look, or think of a tourism bureau spending millions of a new shiny app for, let's say, some new Paris city. All it does is just puts a smarter jacket, and it doesn't create a real economic growth. It just shuffles. That traveler would have booked on Expedia probably. It's just shifting business from one place to the other. Now suddenly with these fenced audiences, we're adding totally new slice to the GDP pie, right? And that point is very, very, very important to understand, and it's revenue-wise, it's a totally new growth element comes into play. So very exciting on that.
Is the future concierge invisible, embedded into super apps, or fully orchestrated ecosystems? What do you think it's going to look like?
It's a good question, and it's kind of I'm facing a bit of a gray area there. However, if we zoom out, and put this philosophical hat on, I think there is room for both. I think it could work alongside this fine-tuned digital concierge together with the analog concierge, going that final extra mile of personalized touch. I think it could work in conjunction, meaning that the concierge could focus more on delivering excellent service and produce even better results in terms of service. I think it's that, and also in this digital perfect world, I think us as humans, we're social creatures at the end of the day. We're going to be longing for that human imperfection. So I think it's not totally this black and white situation. It's a bit of a gray area at the moment, but I think if we look beyond the curve, it's a fantastic tool to have for analog concierge too.
You've seen hospitality from the inside out, and now from the digital transformation side. What excites you most at this point? What do you think? What's really exciting in terms of using these next generation digital tools like Simplenight? What do you? Where's the magic? How does it make you feel?
Well, the magic is actually I look. I've studied tourism and hotels management, so I come from a background. I always loved traveling. I always loved experiences, and hence the reason I ended up in that industry. Now, to answer the question, is this creates a whole new experiences for you, like such a seamless, such a you at the end of the day, you want to arrive to your later days of your life with a bag of full experiences, at least for most of the people. You don't want to look back in your life and say, okay, it was quite dull place to be. And these technologies, these tools will allow us to excel in that and have that wonderful time as we go along. So I think exciting part is that we are going to have a lot more time on our hands to do things that we love do, to visit more places, experience festivals, sport events, you name it. So this technology will unlock the whole new world.
Um, if a global, if we today, listening for this show, if a global hotel group CEO is listening right now to hear us speaking, what should they be doing today to avoid being left behind? What would you say to him or her in terms of tools like Simple Night? What should they be doing?
I would say it's like to not necessarily just to them, but to every single one. I think educate yourself on these new digital tools. It doesn't take much to realize how impactful this could be for the business, for the experiences, for the brand differentiation. Um, I would say just educate yourself day by day. I was reading somewhere the other day that most of the people to this day using the usual AI tools, ChatGPT, Gemini, you name it, still using as a Google search. Just ask questions. There is a lot more to it. There is a lot more to it. So point being is really educate yourself as much as you can, and don't spend too much time dwelling.
Yeah, you're right about it. A lot of people don't use the tools; they do search, but in reality, these are really impactful, powerful tools that can change the complex nature of our lives into something simple, and give us superpowers. So if you know how to use it right, as an orchestrator, you can do things that 10 people, 50 people, it would take them forever to do. You can do them in seconds. So embracing those technologies. So that from my perspective, I talk to a lot of top CEOs worldwide. And one of the things that I hear from them is they want to do something, but they don't understand it enough to do it. And they go to their organizations many times, and those organizations, the people that actually make the decisions, are really protecting their turf, and they don't want anything done because they don't want to lose power in the group. So you got this kind of interesting, but it's going to change. It is changing because people know if they don't adapt, they die. I told somebody the other day, I said, do you want to become a dinosaur?
you go extinct.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like this is not like, my friend Sam Altman said, the first billion-dollar company with one employee. And that's right, right? We're going to have companies that are able to use agentic AI, these tools, and create these empathetic and compassionate relationships that are far beyond anything that we can understand, because you understand who that person is, what kind of languages they speak, what their background was growing up, and then you can figure out what's the best way to be able to help them to realize their potential, or travel, or citizen services, or whatever it is. It just takes this. I don't know about you, but I've got about 300,000 items in my personal cloud. The entire web in 1996 was 257,000 websites. We each have more information on our personal cloud than the entire web. And the problem is, David and Gary's world has grown at the same trajectory. By that, I mean doubling every year. In 5 years with the Internet of Things, we're going to have 10 million items, and being able to sift through it. In, how many times the last 2 weeks, David, somebody said, "Hey, David, I sent you a message. Did you get it? Where'd you send it?" Right? I sent it to your
Story
email.
of my life.
Right. Which one? And you say, "Well, I don't remember which one I sent it to. Will you send it again? I can't find it." We don't even look anymore. So this
Mm.
infobesity problem, it's travel. I mean, this is, I travel a lot myself, and it should know that I like to go on the right hand side in first class of the plane. It should know if I'm flying from Miami or Palm Beach to California that my friend who likes to play pickleball's out here, and I like it too. And by the way, we both like sushi. It should know those kind of experiences to be able to help us to enrich ourselves. And then, like you said, these offbeat and experiences that nobody talks about. You come into a city and you're on a trip. It takes you a few days to figure out what's going on and to book things. You miss days because you're trying to do your research. It's crazy, actually.
Yes, that's that. It could not agree more. Could not agree more on this. And yes, there will be autonomous companies which are just mind blowing, really, on where it's heading. And it's going back to that point. If you don't embrace it today, it's gonna leave you behind in some really profound ways and go extinct.
Exactly. So when you talk to customers out there, you talk to people all the time, and you talk about Simple Night. Do they get it, David? Because it is an entirely new concept, right? Do they get it, or is there a lot of education needs to be done?
So look, I mean, there's no straight answer to that. The answer is depends. Again, you go from country to country, from geography to geography. Some are more like going to my point where if you speak to developing world, like in African countries or South American countries, people are more willing. People are more embracing new technologies because they have to. So now this willingness is very powerful, and over there it's not so much of an issue. Now you go to developed world, there is these organizations that are set in their own old ways and principles and cultures, you name it, and not necessarily want to embrace this new. Yes, there is a part of education, huge part, I would say, but there is this part of willingness. Again, this could be very powerful if there is that. So I think we're fighting between these two spheres there, where there's an education lack, there's the willingness lack, there's this bureaucracy, regulation. So there's no straight answer to that. It's just, I think it depends, but common theme is education and willingness. That's what I detected so far.
It's and we're at the beginning. I remember during the e-commerce revolution when we would go out and talk about e-commerce as a $30 billion cottage industry, and they would said Amazon's just for books, and we were laughing because we said it's not going to be. People just didn't get it, and now look at it, right? You can't even dream, think about not being able to have things like Amazon to buy. Why is that? Because it's time. I can find what I want. If I want something esoteric, a special kind of boat to go in something, and I need to get it fixed for my camping trip, it's nice to find a place that has it. Yesterday, I had to buy
Absolutely.
a certain type of hose, and to find this exact hose, it's just, I was thinking this is going to take me weeks. It found it right away.
No, I could not agree more. it's like with Tesla today. Most of the people think it's just a car company, but it's way beyond that. It's more of a robotics and AI company. It's just on the surface you see that it's a car company, but there's a lot more to it, and hence the reasons the stock is going up. It will carry on going for the next 10 years or so. But in defense, I would like to again put that philosophical hat on. Us humans are by default not designed to adopt new technologies at this space. So the rate of change with AI is exponential. Now, when Ford invented engine, everyone was saying that, it's a devil's invention, it kills people, etc. But look, fast forward to now, we could not imagine a life without car. The only difference this time around is that the rate of change is so fast, and people put that defensive armor on, and they think, okay, well, by default we're designed to be risk averse essentially, and if it triggers that risk sort of alarms, that's where the people go like, okay, this is and that's applicable across the board.
No, I agree with you. It's exciting. These are exciting times, and I travel around the world speaking, and Simple Night's got it. This omni-channel engine to be able to bring empathy and compassion to the experiences, to bring all these pieces together. The Germans have a phrase, Gestalt, the sum of the parts equal the whole. And Simple Night's doing a really incredible job of bringing those things together, and it's exciting because this world's changing. And for all you companies out there that don't buy into the change, you're going to be on the outside looking in. And remember, nothing good happened to dinosaurs. So let's go out and let's make this world a better place. Let's use these tools to be able to enhance our experiences, and let's not do it tomorrow. The name of my company is GSD for a reason. It's get stuff done, right? It's not about the talk, it's about the action. So, David, this has been an incredible, extraordinary conversation. Started with analog craftsmanship, and we end up with AI-powered orchestration ecosystems. But if there's one takeaway from my perspective, the future of concierge services isn't about replacing human excellence. It's about amplifying it through intelligent infrastructure. So closing thoughts that you have, and how do people get a hold of you if they're interested in learning more about Simplenight?
Sure. So I'm easily reachable via email, probably david.valancius at simplenight.com, or on LinkedIn, David Valancius. You could find me there easily. So that's probably the easiest. Now, key takeaways probably, again, there's a lot of doom and gloom around technology, but the way I see it, it's an enhancement of lifestyles, productivity, and we'll have more time on our hands to do things that we love doing, really. And that's a key takeaway, I would say. Embrace technology, learn at your own pace. It doesn't have to be that fast, but one step at a time, I would say, and you'll be way ahead.
Yeah, and don't wait till tomorrow, because tomorrow never comes. So make these decisions now. We have a chance. The rate of change is so fast that you're going to be irrelevant in a short period of time unless you look at these technologies and keep educating yourself about what's the right tool to be able to use. David, thanks again for taking time out of your busy schedule to join me on Simple Night Presents. My name is Gary Fowler, and I'm your host. To all of you out there, thank you. We're now at 1,600 podcasts, and it's because of people like you watching this show, reaching out to us. I can also be reached on my LinkedIn profile, Gary Fowler, GSD. And keep an open mind, keep looking, and remember, tomorrow never comes. Today's the time you need to take a look at these technologies, because if you're not, you'll be so far behind, it'll be hard to catch up. Stay happy, stay safe, and stay healthy. Have a great weekend. Enjoy yourselves. And David, thanks so much. I really enjoyed our conversation today.
Thank you for having me, Gary.
Thank you.